all of you. Just keep walking. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Karibu sana. All the best. Welcome to the summit.
Thank you.
Welcome to the summit. Welcome to the summit, gentlemen. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Right. Of course, it is 4 minutes after the top of the hour. Of course, we are now live and coming to you direct from your homes, your living rooms. We want to say thank you so much for welcoming us and making us your guests or part of your guests in your homes, or if you're on the road or whichever part of the world you're watching us tonight. This is the summit. We go live every Wednesday, 9 p.m. If it's the first time you're joining us, we want to say karibu sana to the program. Most welcome to this amazing show. It's usually a very interactive program, and you can always be part of this particular program. All you need to do is join us across our digital platforms, but also on Rwanda Television. We're on DSTV channel 299, but of course we can also be viewed on our YouTube channel, where of course right about now the show is definitely going on right there. But of course, if you've been following our Twitter trends, you'll definitely be able to see that we had posted what we'll be talking about right here on the program. If you're seeing me for the first time, if you're hearing this voice for the very first time, my name as always is Eugene. And Nangwe, welcome to the summit. Let's take a look at what we'll be talking about tonight. We're looking at shifting our focus on the basic education sector or system in Rwanda, where it actually literally all begins. The basics. We're going back to the basics tonight, and we're asking ourselves the question around the role of technology in becoming an equalizer, but of course asking ourselves what are the opportunities within the space of technology in leveraging on the education sector and making it much better, particularly the basic education sector. We have spent most of the time looking at the higher learning systems, higher learning education, but today we are going all down there to be able to look at all that. And of course the Rwandan government has embarked on a significant investment within this particular sector and has put up policies and reforms within the tech space in order to use technology to play a pivotal role in enabling access to quality education. And I said that we've already had feedback coming in, like we can see Mujawase Francisca, who's a great fan and a great friend of the program, the summit, who says basic education starts with early childhood education. If we don't have even 20% of children under 5 being prepared for school, then we are missing out a big part of the basic education. The benchmark for basic education doesn't start with primary school. Thank you so much for this particular reminder, and of course we'll be hearing what our guests on the program have to say on this particular issue. So what I want you to do is jump onto a Twitter, or they call it X these days. Go onto X, the X platform, and add your feedback. Add the hashtag the summit RW. I'll be jumping right there to be able to read your feedback. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, our YouTube stream is on live right about now. All you need to do is just go onto the comment section or the chat box. Let us converse, let us chat, give us your feedback on how Rwanda is leveraging on technology to improve basic education system. Let me bring in the gentlemen in studio today who are joining me right here to be able to talk about this very important conversation. Clement Uwajeneza, who's the managing director, Rwanda Equip. Thank you so much, Clement, for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
It's been a long time, eh?
Has been a long time. Yeah.
Right, thank you for making time. Of course, we also have Emmanuel Simeze, who's actually the District Director of Education in Rubavu District. Murakoze, thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Must have been a long journey getting here today, eh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we need to devolve the show. We should have actually put a system there for you to just join us from Rubavu. Yeah, but karibu sana in Kigali, and thank you for making time on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, also with us is none other than Dr. Bernard Bahati, the Director General of NESA. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Today we're going to be evaluating. We'll do an exam. We'll see if we can remember the basic examinations.
Yeah,
we have the examiner here. We have the people who can be able to also tell us how we are doing on that. But thank you so much. On a very serious note, we're going to look at this particular issue around the level of investment, especially on the ed tech space, to be able to make basic education system much stronger and more competitive. And I want to start with you, Clement, because you sit right closer here. We're going to start closer home. And I want to understand from where you sit, especially when it comes to the creation of tech enablers within the basic education system. Yes. We understand that there are different systems that have been put in place, including the program within Rwanda Equip or Rwanda Equip itself.
Yes.
Talk to us a bit about why this program was first of all put in place. What problem did it come to solve, or what did it come to improve on? You know, we can maybe probably start from there, the basics first of all.
So Rwanda Equip and why we are here is the realization that already exists that we need to accelerate the improvement of quality of education.
Yeah.
And this has a measurement.
Yeah.
You know, you can't improve something you can't measure.
Yeah.
The most important measurement that we look at is what we call learning poverty or learning deprivation.
Yeah.
There has been huge efforts to ensure that every single children in Rwanda gets basic education for free.
Yeah.
And that, to a very good extent, has been achieved. More than 90% of kids go to school today. But now the big problem is they go to school, but how well are they acquiring the knowledge we would love them to acquire for them to be participating citizens?
Yeah.
And one of the measures for learning poverty is ability to read and understand simple text at age 10.
Yeah.
In sub-Saharan Africa, generally, 70% of kids at age 10 do not read and understand simple text.
Yeah.
And that is the case as well in Rwanda. And why we are here is to accelerate the quality of learning and reverse this trend and get to a stage where at 10-year-old, that's around primary 3, all kids can read and understand at their level.
Right, interesting. Emmanuel, I'm going to come to you, but let me first talk to our good friend, Dr. Bernard, the Director General of the National Examination and School Inspection Authority, otherwise known as NESA. You know, we've heard from Clément on the need of why even Rwanda Equip came to be. But from where you sit, you know, could you be able just to share with us some insights on how the government of Rwanda has actually made technology to be one of the most important components to incorporate within the basic education system? How is that being done, or how has that been part of the vision of the government of Rwanda?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eugene. The Ministry of Education has been investing much more efforts in terms of integrating technology in education, and this goes with the global vision of the country, which intends to become the technology hub in the region, if not in entire Africa. So there are several programs and strategies in place of integrating technology in education. We started with one laptop per child. The program succeeded to a certain extent, but then later came with the program of one laptop per teacher, and then it comes the smart classrooms that help teachers and students to study, but again to explore further the teaching and learning activities. So there is a bunch of strategies and initiatives that have already been implemented in the education sector. But coming back to specifically maybe to NESA, maybe I should focus on NESA mandate. Currently, as NESA mandate is twofold. There are two wings of it. There is assessment in general practices, but again, there is a school inspection. So far, we are trying to use tech-enabled solutions to try to help us to take some decisions, to collect data, and make sure that the data are analyzed. But again, after analyzing data, we base on the result to take some decisions. So currently, we have so far implemented two main solutions. The first one is CAMIS. CAMIS is a comprehensive the management which manages the system which manages assessment, a comprehensive assessment management system. It's a system which supports us in managing all the assessment practices, be it at school level, at district level, but again at national level. So why do we use CAMIS? CAMIS comes within strategies to support curriculum, competence-based curriculum, because within the curriculum, you focus on formative assessment, continuous assessment. So we want to use CAMIS to collect data on student performance, to make sure that we track student performance, we analyze them. Sometimes we base on the results to be able to help to intervene as early as possible and support students who are lagging behind. That's first. The second solutions we are trying at NESA, we are also in charge of national exams. So we used to prepare national exams or the entire process manually, but now as I'm speaking as of now, we have all the process of national exams digitized, and this is another good milestone.
Interesting. I'll be coming back for us to interrogate a bit further, especially when you said you're using tech to, to give you data that you can be able to use in making the decisions. But also you've talked about how the sector in terms of the examination has been digitized. We'll try to look at the potential for opportunities but also challenges on that. But let me talk to Emmanuel, because Emmanuel, for you, you are providing technical advisory to the education sector from where you sit. And I wanted you to just highlight for us on how the district where you come from and your peers, those within the same space, are trying to promote high quality education within the basic education system using technology. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities?
Thank you very much. As Deja has been saying, mainly our role is we are policy implementers at district level. Also, as well as the policy evaluator, monitoring and evaluation at district level. So we have different policies. When you look at NCT1, there is point number 9, which says that we have to promote quality of education through ICT in education. We have received different tools to promote education by using ICT. Including one laptop per child, smart classrooms. There is a new program of Equip Rwanda. What do we do as implementers? We monitor on a regular basis with the teachers are teaching by using ICT tools, with the learners are learning by using those ICT tools, with those equipments which are not working with that, they can be repaired, and we report it to relevant organs. We train teachers on how they have to use those ICT materials. We prepare competitions among the teachers and even the students so that we create a culture of using ICT materials. In general, at a district level, we monitor on a daily basis and strengthen, encourage teachers and learners to involve in the teaching and the learning process by using ICT materials.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But of course, from the time that started, from a district perspective, what has been the trend? What have you been seeing in terms of, first, the understanding and the uptake, and then you've said there are competitions to entice them to do it. What's the trend? What have you been seeing?
Thank you very much for the question. I would say that there was a negative perception at the beginning of using ICT. Even some of us, we started touching ICT materials in senior 4, senior 5. So you understand to what extent a learner or a teacher who is teaching on the first time touching ICT tools. There was like a fear or perception that it's very hard to teach by using this and this. So in order to inspire teachers, it's better to create among them that they are able. You train them, that you inspire them that though they are mature enough, though they didn't study by using ICT materials, they have to go just with the world changes.
The changes, yes.
Yeah, the changes of the world. Even as well as the curriculum, it changes over time. Even in order to meet the labor market as educators, we are the ones that teachers who have to inspire to teach the children by using those ICT materials. So I would say that there was a negative perception on the use of ICT. But today, they have improved.
Interesting. I don't want to bring in Clement. Clement, that's something that you see as a trend in every place where change is introduced. And I want to understand, because when Rwanda Equip program came up, I'm sure there has been that feeling from a section of teachers or some of those who are to be beneficiaries of this particular program. From what he says, some people would feel there's some negativity in terms of how they approach it.
Yes.
And I want to understand what are the fears that you want to demystify tonight, especially for those who probably looked at the programs or the program itself and the solutions you're bringing, especially when it comes to the monitoring of teachers' performance. You know, most of the time you'll find people say now they want to and they will now, you know, resist or create a resistance measurement. What are the, you know, let's separate the myths from the facts, you know, on this program.
Maybe before, to lay a picture,
Yeah.
what does Rwanda Equip program look at a school where
Exactly.
Rwanda Equip operates?
Yeah.
So every teacher in Rwanda Equip or a school implementing the Rwanda Equip program is equipped with a teacher tablet. On that tablet, they receive a schedule and what we call lesson plan for every lesson that they will be giving throughout the coming week. For them to get the schedule, they get at school, they connect their tablet with the head teacher, which also provides information, because they do that every day, it provides information on their attendance at school. And as they go through each lesson using the lesson guide, we track whether the lesson, they finished it on time, they were too long, they didn't start it at all. So there are so many things that we are looking at during that. And what we do is supervise and support them, so for them to be more and more confident using that teacher tablet every single day in the classroom, and keeping the kids engaged, because they are using a new approach to teaching, keeping the kids engaged. Now, if you want to bring that whole holistic 360-degree change within a school, indeed, there are changes of behavior. Now they need to get at school on time for them to mark that they have arrived and get the content. They know that their data is being monitored, how they are going through each lesson. So all that creates like a big change from the beginning. But what we've seen is, even though the resistance at the beginning is there, because it's a new thing, the more the teachers start to see that there is an actual impact on the kids, on learning, and one of those impact that they see themselves without waiting for assessment is ability to speak English for themselves, because they're constantly now teaching in English,
with that tablet.
but at the same time getting the kids to repeat a lot in English. They see that the kids are speaking better English. They see that the kids are, because the tablet triggers them to engage the kids more often than they would have done. Then they start to see also a higher level of confidence in kids, like wanting to answer, wanting to express themselves and speak. These two things alone then creates a motivation cycle where they also want to use it more, and because they are seeing positive change. Of course, it doesn't happen equally for all teachers, and that's where we partner with DDEs like Emmanuel and the whole education system for us to then provide more support to those lagging behind. But in general, even if it takes time, but slowly, when they see the impact on kids, then they start to feel more
to embrace. Right. We're talking about 500 and above schools.
Actually now preparing to be in 660. Training teachers for an additional 500 schools. Right.
We'll come back to interrogate that or probe that further. Let me talk to Dr. Bernard. Let's try evaluate the performance in terms of what you've seen. You said now it's data-driven. From the time such programs like Rwanda Equip came into play, and other interventions that are tech or ed tech in nature, what have you been seeing in terms of performance, in terms of, you know, the way now these children within the basic education sector are performing our system?
Yeah, let me thank you very much for the question. I'd like maybe to answer it from the perspective or the question you asked previously, concerning maybe whether there are some uptake and what. Myself, I wouldn't call it maybe the resistance to change. Sometimes when it comes to introducing new practices in teaching and learning in education, and when it comes particularly to technology, there is what we call the fear of the unknown.
Right.
It's something which is new. I have never used it before. What if I fail? What if it doesn't help me to achieve what I have to achieve? Mainly, in most of the what you call resistant to change, they are turning around this. As Clement mentioned, as we move forward, as we implement new practices, as we witness the effectiveness of those new practices, I think the uptake will increase compared to where they have started. Coming back to what you said, since the Rwanda Equip was introduced as an institution in charge of inspection, in the beginning, there was some of the schools, as I said, were skeptical to come on board because they were saying, we are changing everything we've been doing. It's a paradigm shift. It's actually, you are going in that direction
and
in
you
terms
just
of
do
teaching.
about turn.
Then it's a complete U-turn. So you have to expect that some of the schools will not immediately embrace the move. But as the program progressed, as maybe for us who are in the monitoring, we can see that the program can support in terms of monitoring the teachers' attendance, the student attendance, the curriculum recovery. So even the school leaders, the head teachers, they started come on board and appreciating the program. And later, I think now we are on a certain level of acceptance, which we can say that many teachers, as we move forward, as I said, will come on board without problem.
And as Clement says, there's a next move to cover more schools and to train even more. So this is a program that you would say you'd be happy to embrace for a long term.
Yeah, so far we haven't done an impact evaluation, impact assessment, a rigorous one, as we can base on it and say the program works, but based on just observations we are seeing in the schools, we can say that the program has already provided some solutions to certain things we couldn't do before. I can give an example. We had really difficulties to monitor teachers' attendance. This is something we've been struggling with as the education sector because there was no this way of making sure that we track the teachers' performance. But with Rwanda Equip, it's monitored, real-time monitoring. So at the end of the day, we know that a teacher at a school A could not attend or arrived late. So this is one of the examples I can mention. Another one is it was really difficult before Rwanda Equip to be able to monitor the curriculum coverage. It was very difficult because you have a teacher from a given district, he has his or her curriculum, teaching and learning materials, lesson plans, but now everything is packaged in one tablet and it's monitored remotely. We can monitor consistently the curriculum coverage. This is maybe two things I can mention, but there are other things without maybe waiting for a study, which will demonstrate whether Rwanda Equip worked or not.
Or not. Wonderful. Emmanuel, for you, talk to us a bit about what you're hearing also from parents, especially the leveraging of technology, introduction of technology within the basic education. And as you answer this, I think also you could also add on the aspect of not leaving anyone behind, because we know technology requires a certain level of skill set for you to even use the technology. Like you said, some of them, they're touching these tabs or this tech, for the first time. What would you be able to say that is needed to be able to make the progress faster in embracing technology within the basic education system?
Allow me to start with the resistance to change that we have been saying. Rwanda Equip started, and most of the teachers, they resisted. Then we visited them, and they were saying that some tools, they are not working. We are delaying. Different causes were mentioned. Then, like in May or last July, I also visited them. How are you seeing this Rwanda Equip program? It is very fine. We are familiar with it. Today, what they are saying, it's opposite of what they said previously.
What do you think changed?
I think at the beginning, there was a negative perception that they are being monitored online, that we are going to be chased maybe because we will delay. But after understanding the role of Rwanda Equip program, and after just realizing that they are improving themselves by using those ICT tools, they became familiar. That's why today they are speaking another language different from what they started with. You have been asking me what should we do? Mainly, ICT materials in the schools, they are few. Today, they are few. I would suggest that teachers and even head teachers, some of them today, they don't have access to ICT materials. I would suggest that different relevant organs, different stakeholders should increase ICT materials in schools.
Right.
Especially in those primary schools. Even in secondary schools, there is a shortage of ICT materials. Next to the activity of giving them those materials, we should ensure that teachers are trained, enough trained to use those ICT materials. Because sometimes we can plan to give them those materials, yet they do not have knowledge and skills to use them. They remain in store without using what they are supposed to do.
Right.
So I would suggest that we should train teachers enough so that they use it as they are supposed to use them.
Right.
There is another load that we should do. It's a awareness campaign, community. Parents today, they think that the students who have very many books, teachers who have very many pedagogical documents in hand, they are the ones who are teaching traditional teaching methods. They are still there. So we should conduct awareness campaign within the parents or a wider community, even local readers. They should understand their role to conduct such awareness campaigns within their communities.
So that the shift is also back at home. So when you're told you need to purchase a tech, laptop or tablet for your child, or to make them go into digital libraries, then the parents also understand. They don't resist to this. I like those ideas, but Clem, I want to ask you this. What is being done now to shift this narrative of, that Rwanda Equip just designs a school monitoring program or a school monitoring or management ed tech solution to, moving beyond just that management process to learning outcomes. That's very key, because now if the thought process has always been, this is just a management ed tech tool, yet it's supposed to be the end outcomes of learning. That's what we want. We want to see people performing. We want to see teachers delivering. How are you working on shifting that perception?
First, it's important to note that actually such a program like Rwanda Equip that brings on these tools that make it concrete to improving school management, because school management is the first thing to improve when you want to improve learning outcome.
Right.
Something that comes to improve the teaching practice or to support, it's not even improve, but support more consistent and standardized teaching within classrooms so that quality is equally distributed among all schools. All these, it's just a tool. But fortunately, we are building on everything that the whole education system has been doing in the recent past in line with improving quality of education. When it comes to school management and presence of teachers, there's a lot of effort being done at local level, at Rwanda Education Board level, in training head teachers in improved school management. So when we bring such a tool as monitoring presence, looking at everyday presence, it's not just that, it's also how do I professionally develop the teachers as a head teacher on a regular basis. So we also integrate the tool for the head teacher to sit with a teacher, at least one teacher every single day, and observe their lesson and give them feedback. Now, when you put this tool that make concrete such practices that should be done in a school, indeed, at the very beginning, it feels like we have not been doing this, why should we? But more and more that it's done, basically which a professional environment, a school is a professional environment. If the professional environment starts to operate in a specific way, people tend to start to understand that that is how it should have been in the first place. So we do work a lot to accompany them for this change to be as smooth as possible. But ultimately, it's the impact on children that provides that good positive feedback loop that convince them that maybe this should be kept. So really it's for us, first of all, to accompany the change, for it to happen. And then ensure that as we do that, we are using tested approaches. So those tools to monitor that the teachers are there, kids can't learn if the teacher is not there. Two, when the teacher is there, whatever they do, whatever their level is, even if they start at a low level, they start to see impact faster than what they have been seeing with their traditional approach. That motivates them. So the more we accompany them, we get them to hang in there, the more they see the positive feedback loop that gets them to stay in. So it's really that. And lastly, now that we've been working with more schools, is to communicate good success stories. So we show a teacher speaking to other teachers on how they have been adopting this technology for their own. They give them tips, that things that we probably didn't also teach them to do or so, but they've figured them out because a teacher still remains a teacher. We give them the tool, but the good teacher will enhance that tool to even make the most out of it. And these teachers are good success stories that we share with the all the other teachers, so that they share tips and so. And by seeing from their peers who are doing it, by seeing the feedback they get from the kids they teach, through using that, we combine all that to ensure that it becomes more and more positive. But of course, every change is a journey.
It's a journey. We'll come into looking at the aspect of the new phase, but Dr. Bernard, especially on the aspect of leveraging or making the journey shorter and results felt faster. We heard from Emmanuel on what needs to be done, specifically the challenges and the urge he's made that we need to see more tech tools, availed to the teachers. We need to see more trainings happening in that space of technology. What is able to be done from the ministry level, from government level, along the lines of those things that Emmanuel has spoken about?
Yeah, thank you very much. I do agree with Emmanuel. Just providing schools, equipping schools with a tech gadget, it's not enough. It's an entire process which require the different items he just mentioned. The Ministry of Education has been really doing a lot in terms of training teachers. There are different projects that has been there for many years. We even managed to work with some development partners who are working with the Ministry of Education. There are some projects like CADI. It's a project which really is into training teachers in terms of integrating technology in education. There are some other several initiatives, but again, as he said, the journey is still long because you have many teachers, more than 100,000 teachers. We have more than 500 schools. So we haven't managed, yes, to reach to every teacher in terms of capacity development, in terms of integrating ICT in education. But the efforts and the things which have already been done in that area are really commendable. I would like to come back maybe a little bit on what you mentioned before in terms of using technology, in terms of making sure that we get data, but again, we make decisions based on data. Yeah. I mentioned maybe two systems we are using at NESA, but there is also at the Ministry of Education, the school data management system. This is really one of the key systems which is used at the Ministry of Education. It's tantamount to a one-stop center when it comes to education data. It's really a system where you can find all administrative data in terms of education, number of schools, number of students, classrooms, and it's a system which is even used to distribute some of the capitation grant we give schools. So this is a system really in terms of data. It's really one of the key milestones which have been achieved in terms of trying to use technology to gather data and based on those data to take some decisions. And the other system I mentioned before of national exams, it's linked to the SDMS.
Yeah. And we talked about technology being how do they say it? It can be what levels everybody in terms of the level playing field, but it can also create what we call the gaps for those who can manage to and those who cannot manage to actually use them. But also from the impact in terms of the security of this data. What would you be telling those who are watching us tonight in terms of the safety of this data? Because we know about what happens to systems. There can be breach, and then all of a sudden everything just goes into the wrong hands. Just maybe briefly, what would you be able to say on that area in terms of protection of this data?
Yeah, one thing is that all those systems, when they are developed, they are given a go-ahead by some of the institutions here in the country that have in their mandate to make sure that the systems that are used, they fulfill some of the security levels. Can mention recently that. But specifically, for example, the SDMS I mentioned, it's linked to even to the other system which is used by the Ministry of Finance. So you can understand it's protected, and even the other exam system, it's within the SDMS. I have no doubt that there are really a level of security which is strengthened, and we don't have any fear that data can be maybe breached. It can happen as it can happen to other systems because hackers these days, they do wonders, but the system is really protected. And
Interesting.
That's what I'll say.
I'll come back for us to intervene on more of that, but I want to welcome our viewers who are watching us and, of course, who also have questions. This is your time. I'm sure we have the relevant representatives right here on the platform, but, of course, what you've had on this particular conversation for the last 42 minutes, what do you have to say about that? Do you have any question? Do you have any feedback, any comment? It's time for me to read your feedback, and all you need to do if you want to join us is get onto the X platform and leave us a tweet and add the hashtag #TheSummitRW. I'll quickly read through that. And I want to start with Wilson Munyenzi, who says, beyond giving teachers laptops and training them, there has to be an elaborate mindset change and change management plan. A new digital mindset needs to be inculcated in the teachers' minds. This is a very interesting feedback. Clement, I don't know what you think, Emmanuel and Dr. Edward. What do you think about that, especially on the aspect of inculcating, a new digital mindset among the teachers?
It's a chicken and egg kind of situation. One is indeed there is the need to do a mindset shift, but it's not just providing teachers with laptop and expect them to to all of a sudden
Deliver.
become masters of finding content by themselves. And so I think there is value to providing the gadgets, but at the same time, the content and the usability. Let's say if we give today in a Rwanda Equip school a teacher tablet to a teacher, they wake up in the morning, they go in their classroom, the first thing they see is take attendance.
Yeah.
They see the list of their pupils and they tick each one of those who are in the classroom.
Yeah.
So that they are already using it and it helps them and they don't need to go write, they don't need to write them. So there is already, it's gaining them time. So they are, I mean, it feels like technology is solving what they want to be doing at that time. Then they see the content for the next lesson, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you would want to see, and that's where I meet what Wilson is saying. Let's say that's the level one. The more they use that, they will start to say, oh, by the way, I would like this one to also give me books so that I do more with this tablet. So I think there is one, that practice of using something simple puts them in a specific mindset, and then that builds up more demand. Basically, it's giving a customer something that they didn't know they needed, but now they need it, and they start to ask for more.
Right.
So I think mindset will come, shift will come, but by making fast steps of providing simple, usable technology today.
Yeah, is the way to go in that particular space. I'm going to read another one. I have Jacques Nezimana, who's on our YouTube chat box, the live stream that is on right now. Jacques says he is ready to listen, and I'm sure he's been listening. Warm welcome to our panelists. That's from Felix Nshimimana. I have Andre Umukunzi, who says, hello, mutubarize umuyobozi wo muri NESA igihe amanota azasohokera. Let's take advantage of that. When amanota azasohokera, Dr. Edward, do we have the breaking news? Or not yet?
Maybe currently I'm not in a position to say exactly when, but maybe I can say somewhere in September.
Somewhere in September.
Now I cannot give an exact date.
Thank you for that. Somewhere in September. September, it's coming. Of course, I have another one here who says that research shows that ICT can facilitate the achievement of Millennium Development Goals in developing countries today. Up to everything we will need, or will have to be accessed over the internet and technology. So, like Emmanuel said, we need to see even parents being, made more aware of the importance of changing and embracing technology. He says, well done, Rwanda Equip. This is Arabruta Martin. Thank you very much for that. Joella says, great. And of course, I have Elise Nshimanu says, change is a 1,000-step journey that starts with a single step. Well done to introduction of tech-enabled solutions to achieve a transformative education. With data, you have decisions at your hand. This is what he says. I have another one congratulating Rwanda Equip and everybody here on the panel. And we have another one here which says, we live in a world that is moving fast. Using technology in education is now not an option. It is essential. And that's also very interesting. And maybe I'll come to you, Clema. You mentioned that there's a new face now for Rwanda Equip program in terms of the targets, in terms of even the reach, and what you want to do more. What is this? What do you want to tell us today? And even in terms of the schools that are, under this particular program, I'm sure someone is asking, how can our school also be beneficiaries of this program?
So until this end of school year, we were working with 250 schools. We will be expanding to more than 750 schools in the coming school year. That implies that during this current period and for a period of 1 month, we are training the 12,000 teachers in those 500 schools that will join the program. So the teachers receive 10-day intensive training on use of technology, use of technology while teaching, and classroom management techniques. And lastly, that mindset shift that's required for them to adopt a new approach of teaching within their schools. So we work in partnership with Ministry of Education and close collaboration with NESA, Rwanda Education Board, so to bring the program to public primary school, but including also nursery schools where they are in the schools we are working with.
Right.
What we've been seeing in the past 2 years, we've been in working with the initial schools is improvement, of course, in literacy and numeracy at an accelerated pace. But as Dejenesa said, we are still leveraging assessments, standardized assessment, but also the comprehensive assessment. And it's great that systems like CAMIS can provide us this data that we need for us to see now the real impact on learning outcome of a period. And I think in the near future, we'll start to see that specific impact, leveraging those assessments and those tools and the collaboration with NESA.
Yeah, and Emmanuel, of course, right now we're talking about competitiveness, ensuring that our children within the basic education system become competitive, because we live in a competitive world. I'm sure from a district level, there is that competition in terms of, ensuring that there's good performance, but also the children are growing into people who can, compete.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about looking at that level of competitiveness beyond just the district level, such that if a child who was studying in Rubavu district is today transferred to Kenya or Uganda or Tanzania into another primary school or basic education system, they're able to still be competitive. How is this being done, or how are you guys looking at this from a district level?
Yeah, thank you very much. We agenda. As you know, this NCT1 that we are through, there is 9 policies or 9 lines which governs education. They include promotion of ICT in education, I have said. There is promotion of mathematics, science, and the other sciences subjects. There is promotion of languages. You know that English is a language of instruction. In order to fit on the world market labor, we should strengthen on those components, on those government policies and agenda, and we make sure that they are being well implemented at school level. It's our emphasis. It's to see there is a government agenda there. It is well prepared. What should we do so that it is also well implemented on the ground? So mainly when you look at what the officials or our leaders have been realizing by developing those NCT1 policies, it's to make the graduates, learners, to be competent, not only in our districts or in Rwanda as a country, even on the global market. So we should, with those ones who are listening to us, we should make sure that we are in line with the government agenda, we are in line with 2050, we are in line with other policies, so that our children, our brothers and sisters fit on the labor market.
Interesting. Dr. Bernard, there's something also to chip into, but of course, also add on to it the aspect of people or children with disabilities. Where are we thinking about them, and especially as we think about technology, those who are abled differently? How do they come in on some of these programs, or how would you want them to come in on these programs, especially from stakeholders who are dealing with providing the tools for ICT?
I think each and every program and intervention which is injected in any educational system, including ours, should be inclusive. And we always talk to those who are intervening in our schools, in the Rwandan schools, to make sure that all the interventions are inclusive. So in terms of technology, there are some initiatives that have been around to make sure that maybe some students who have different impairment, visual impairment, hearing impairment, some of the teaching materials or manuals are translated or are developed in a way they can understand them. There are such initiatives within Rwanda Education Board where some of the materials, some exercise are developed in a way that students who, for example, have hearing impairment, they develop materials so that they can see them and demonstrate them. So we haven't done a lot in that way, but I think there are some initiatives that are still going on currently.
Right.
Yeah.
Clema, is this something that is giving you sleepless nights in terms of developing the tools for people who also are able differently? How is this part of what you're doing within the program?
It's a hard part to indeed fix. First of all, we realized maybe some of the thing we have in the program that tries to do that is we do within even the schedule of teachers in the program is to test for visual ability of children and therefore sit them differently depending on how well they can see on the blackboard. But on another hand, indeed, there is need for the program to design more abilities to support kids who have other different disabilities.
Right.
And it's I mean, something we need to work on,
Right.
that
The next phase.
in an ongoing phase, doesn't have to wait. So the beauty with technology and technology-driven initiative is that ability to very quickly test a few or pilot a few things. They get outcome or feedback very quickly and then decide fast how to scale them in an effective manner, cost effectively most importantly. So there are things that we are piloting or we think about piloting and then probably scale them to a way. But
maybe to add on that.
Yeah, maybe as part of your closing remark, yeah?
Yes, I have to mention that when it comes to NESA mandate, and how maybe we are trying to use technology to make sure that the students with different impairment are also supported. In national exams, we have students who cannot sit for regular exams because of different impairment. For example, I can say student with visual impairment. So for them, we have to produce the exams in braille formats so that they can do the exams. So there are some machines and some other people we use to translate regular national exams into the formats that are readable by the student with visual impairment. This is what I wanted to add on how we are supporting students with...
I'll give you under half of a minute. Maybe, where do you see basic education, especially the role of technology in the next 5 years to come? Just one line.
So I can say technology is here to stay. The question is not whether we should embrace it, but how we should do that.
Right.
So that's what I can say.
Okay.
So we are in an era where technology is pervasive, is embedded in our real life. So we shouldn't be maybe being late to use it, to embrace it, but it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Right. Emmanuel.
Yes, sir.
Just very briefly. Where do you see?
Thank you. In English, they say that where there is a will, there is a way. I would tell teachers that learners' achievements depends on the teachers' achievements. So, which means that once we get competent enough teachers who are willing to use ICT materials, of course, the children also will use them. My remarks is that we as teachers, we should be confident enough to use ICT materials so that our kids, our children be familiar with those ICT materials. Because today they are in Rwanda, as you have been saying, tomorrow they will be abroad. So we are the one to teach them those competencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Clema, just parting shot.
Yes, so on one hand, every single teacher today or in 5 years from now is enabled by information technology in their day-to-day work. And on another hand, the whole education system has real-time data for every single or about every single pupil in the education system that allow them to more dynamically develop curriculum, content, and improvements for the education.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll quickly sneak in a very quick one from a viewer who's on our YouTube stream. Says, tech generates real-time data that supports schools, that government institutions will evidence-based, rapid decision-making so they can support schools with precision and make broader scale. Rwanda, congratulations for Rwanda Equip project for bringing this technology in our primary and nursery schools. It is a great job. It will help our teachers to teach and gain time to revise lessons well. Dushimire Francois Xavier says that on our chat, on our live stream. Thank you very much. That's all the time we had. It's a conversation starter, like we always do right on the summit, and we keep talking even beyond these four walls right here, online, and even when we meet face to face. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. On behalf of our guests, we want to say thank you for watching. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Good night and good luck.
nagira ngo mubwire ko byose birashoboka iyo wumvise kakajwi kakubwira gati irekure halo veterine ya baba inka zarembye pe do hari abakeka ko kuba bari kure business zihagarara isigaye ihebeba irahebeba urifuza kuruhuka uguwe neza hamwe n'abawe ngo bagutera isoni ahubwo gahunda zawe ufite uyu munsi ni izihe irekure na bando zose za MTN kuri 4G kanda subscribe duhurire online